2-2.5 minute ही गाओ. You just want one song?
Hi, nice to meet you. I request everyone to please take their seats. We'll move on into a short patriotic song by our talented musicians here today. Before that, I would like to go ahead and introduce them. Mandeep Singh is a student of Sapan Bhattacharya, who himself is a disciple of Kabir Khan Saab. At the Gata Rahe Mere Dil radio show, Mandeep won the prestigious Best Male Performer of the Year award, which was personally selected by none other than Shankar Mahadevan. He has performed at various concerts and fundraising events in the Bay Area, such as those for Shankara Eye Foundation. Our second talented musician today is Pooja Purandare. She began her musical journey by learning classical vocals at the Vinod Sir Srikar Academy in Mumbai under the able guidance of Mrs. Rita Kaul. She was a part of the Little Stars group and was a finalist in Zee TV's prestigious Saregama back in 2004, along with several other shows.
Thank you, Sami. हेलो एवरीवन, नमस्ते. आपके लिए एक पेट्रियाटिक गाना प्रस्तुत कर रहे हैं. होप यू एंजॉय इट एंड होप यू एंजॉय टुडेज इवनिंग. Mandeep Singh and I will be singing a few songs for you in the latter half of the show. But शुरुआत करते हैं पेट्रियाटिक गाने से.
सबका लहरा लो तिरंगा प्यारा, पर मत भूलो सीमा पर वीरों ने है प्राण गवाए. कुछ याद उन्हें भी कर लो, कुछ याद उन्हें भी कर लो, जो लौट के घर ना आए, जो लौट के घर ना आए. जरा आँख में भर लो पानी, जो शहीद हुए हैं उनकी जरा याद करो कुर्बानी. ऐ मेरे वतन के लोगों, जरा आँख में भर लो पानी, जो शहीद हुए हैं उनकी जरा याद करो कुर्बानी. जब तक थी सांस लड़े वो, जब तक थी सांस लड़े वो, फिर अपनी लाश बिछा दी. संगीन पे धर कर माथा सो गए अमर बलिदानी, जो शहीद हुए हैं उनकी जरा याद करो कुर्बानी. जब देश में थी दिवाली, वो खेल रहे थे होली, जब हम बैठे थे घरों में, जब हम बैठे थे घरों में, वो झेल रहे थे गोली. थी धन्य जवान वो अपने, थी धन्य वो उनकी जवानी. जो शहीद हुए हैं उनकी जरा याद करो कुर्बानी।
Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
Hello. Okay. I would now like to invite Dr. Srikar Reddy to share a few words with us today. Dr. K. Srikar Reddy is the Consul General of India at San Francisco. He has previously served at the Department of Commerce, Government of India as Joint Secretary, where he oversaw India's commercial relations with countries in Africa and the Middle East. Dr. Reddy was born in the district of Warangal, Telangana. He studied medicine or MMBS at Kakatiya Medical College, Warangal, India. He speaks Telugu, Hindi, English, and German.
Honorable elected representatives, esteemed speakers, distinguished guests, Sri Kanderao Kand, President of the Foundation for India and Indian Diaspora Studies, all Indian Diaspora members and also Friends of India, Namaskar, good evening. I am delighted to be here this evening for this annual FIIDS dinner event. I commend the FIIDS for doing outstanding work, especially policy studies, advocacy, and also promoting awareness about India and Indian diaspora. I was just going through the list of some of the activities. They did some good events like the Capitol Hill Summit, India-US strategic event. And also, in fact, I was there for the India-US Celebration of Democracies held in the Bay Area last July. I'm happy to be back. Let me take this opportunity to just highlight some of the recent developments in the India-US partnership. As you're all aware, India and US, under the Comprehensive and Strategic Partnership Framework, we have collaboration going in all areas of human endeavors, spanning from seas to the stars. This, in fact, we have seen a transformational change in the last 10, 11 years, I can say, after Prime Minister Narendra Modi became the Prime Minister in 2014. Even before that, our relationship was also like, we had bipartisan support both in India and US, especially since we had the 2004 India-US nuclear agreement. And since then, even if there was any regime change in India or US, but we are having a very good relationship. So, especially in the last few years, we have seen a very good progress in the relationship, especially after Prime Minister Modi ji visit to US in June last year. He also spoke at the US Congress and various agreements were signed. And after that, even President Biden and Prime Minister Modi met at various events, like President Biden visited India for the G20 summit, and also Prime Minister Modi, he visited just in September New York, and they also met in Delaware for the Quad summit. So our relationship has been strengthened by the meetings at the highest levels. But I would like to take this opportunity to just inform some of the important developments in some important areas. I will start with the defense sector. As you're aware, India and US have a close defense partnership. US granted India the status of a major defense partner in the year 2016. So this is like India is not exactly an ally of the US, but all the facilities which are given to a non-NATO ally will be given to India, especially including India can now get all the major defense equipment from the US, including equipment which is used for the dual-use technologies. So you must be aware, recently the General Atomic Company and Indian Defense Ministry, we had a deal for procurement of 31 MQ-9B Predator drones worth around 3.99 billion US dollars. So it is also, is a dual-use technology. And secondly, there is also discussions about co-development, co-design and co-production in India. So you must have heard about this agreement between General Electrics and the Hindustan Aeronautics Limited in India for joint production of GE F414 engines for the India's light combat aircraft. So they are also in the final stages of discussions. We hope that these engines will be manufactured in India shortly. And also, both defense ministries are also promoting collaboration of the defense startups between two countries. We have this India-US Defense Accelerator ecosystem we call IndusX. So the 4th summit was held in September at Stanford University. We have seen a robust participation of startup companies. We had some 20 different startup companies coming from India who exhibited there. We had a good companies from US side also. Now through this framework, the Indian startup companies are getting opportunities to enter into the US overall defense supply ecosystem. So this is a very important development, like you can see, because of the mutual trust and understanding between our leaders and also at various levels. So now we are also able to have this kind of collaboration. Even Indian companies are also entering into the defense supply systems in the US. So another important area of collaboration is technology. So in January last year, both leaders have launched this initiative for critical and emerging technologies. We call it ISET, under which both countries are collaborating in areas of critical and emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, quantum, biotechnology, semiconductors, and also space. So there have been significant developments under this framework. We had various meetings in various sectors. And one of the important initiative under this framework is we have set up a joint task force of the university. Like we have this Association of American University and also the IIT Council. They set up a joint task force for enhancing collaboration in the academic and also the student exchanges. So they came up with a report in January last year where they proposed various initiatives for student faculty exchange and also even in the research between collaboration between universities on both sides. In fact, both sides have also agreed to set up a joint Global Challenges Institute with focusing on some areas of collaboration which includes semiconductors and also sustainable energy. We have health preparedness and also we have the semiconductors. So under this, and also one more thing, now Indian students are the largest in terms of the international students in the US. According to the last count, we had close to 330,000 Indian students studying at various universities in the US. So Indian students are contributing $10 billion to the US economy. And we hope that under this initiative of the ISET and the joint university collaboration, we expect US universities also to start some at least centers or collaborate with the Indian universities to come up with joint and dual degree programs in India, whereby making quality education accessible to a large number of students in India who cannot otherwise afford to come and study in the US. And coming to trade and investment, now the US is the largest trading partner of India. We have overall last year in the year 2023, the overall bilateral trade was close to $190 billion in merchandise, goods and services. And in India, US is the third largest investor in India with overall investment of $65 billion. And not only US investment in India, but also Indian companies also invested close to $40 billion in the US, creating around 425,000 jobs in the US. So this collaboration, economic collaboration is mutual. But I think while we have excellent relationship at the leadership level, at the defense like ecosystem level, but I think there is a great potential for enhancing our collaboration in the trade and investment, especially, and also technology collaboration. So because if you see, while US is the largest trading partner of India, India's exports as a percentage of US imports is hardly 2%, while China has a percentage of 14 to 15%. So easily Indian exports, overall bilateral trade from current 190 billion, we can easily double and to 400 billion US dollars by 2030. So there's a huge potential for enhancing this bilateral trade and investment partnership. Even if you see, India has invested $40 billion in the US, but US has only invested 60 billion. Size of the US economy and size of India, no, there's a lot of potential for US to invest, but there are good things which have happened in the recent years, especially from the West Coast. We had seen some investments going into India, especially in the semiconductor sector, where the Micron, which is based in the West Coast, they are developing a semiconductor facility in the state of Gujarat. So it is called Assembly, Testing, Marking and Packaging Facility. We hope that it will start functional from early next year. And also other companies in the West Coast like AMD, we have Applied Materials, Microtech, they're also like Lam Research. They're trying to develop the semiconductor ecosystem in India. So we look forward US companies to develop this kind of critical like sectors like semiconductors, electronic design, like even Apple is manufacturing a lot of iPhones in India. Now Apple overall 14% of their global iPhones are manufactured in India. They've also, like in the next 4 or 5 years, they would like to scale up to 25% of their overall production in India. So there are a lot of opportunities for US companies to like look India as a alternate supply country, especially as you know, we have a lot of issues with the supply chains. India will be a trusted partner for the US, and we would like to attract investment into India into various critical sectors. So coming to the Indian diaspora in the US is now 5 million strong. They're doing exceptionally well because of their hard work, dedication, innovation, entrepreneurship. So they are like recognized for their contribution to the not only the cultural diversity but also to the socio-economic fabric of wherever they live. Especially in the Bay Area, we have close to 500,000 members of the Indian diaspora, and we see the large presence of the elected representatives that showcases it is a recognition of the contribution of each one of you, and also the Indian diaspora to the Bay Area economy and also the diversity. So we expect like the Indian diaspora to become partner in India's growth story. As you know, now India is the 5th largest economy, and we are growing at a rate of 7% per annum. Prime Minister Modi ji he also visualizes India to become the 3rd largest economy in the next 3-4 years. And also he set an ambitious target to make India a developed country, Vikasit Bharat, by 2047, when India celebrates 100th year of our independence. So we want all the diaspora members to become partners in this India growth story, and especially because you are a living bridge between India and US. So most of you are also in important positions. We have many CEOs for the Fortune 500 companies. Many people are working at various senior positions in various companies. So I take this opportunity to request all of you to see how you can encourage the companies to look at opportunities in India, especially manufacturing, or even to set up the innovation centers in India. We call it global capability centers, or anything you want to, like individually also you can try to promote India's educational and healthcare sectors. So we welcome a contribution from each one of you, because you are the bright people who have migrated from India to US, especially some of you are IITians or engineers or doctors. So you're doing well. I think we expect you also to give back in some way. I mean, you're gathered here, especially under this framework of FIIDS, which is also like to promote India, also the Indian diaspora in the US. So we hope, and also I would like to mention one thing. Now the 18th Pravasi Bharatiya Divas will be celebrated in Bhubaneswar next year, January, from 8th to 10th. So we request all of you to register and attend the event. So if you register individually, if you register by 27th of this month, you'll get some 20% discount. There's also group discount for people from 5 to 50. If you register as a group, you'll get 25% discount for all the participation and also other facilities which is being provided by the state government of Odisha. And also this Pravasi Bharatiya Divas is a good opportunity for the diaspora members to not only connect with the government, especially the leaders and the officials, but also to connect with your roots. You can also take time and visit your native places, or also visit places of historical and cultural importance, and also to know more about India. So I think hopefully Bay Area will be represented in large numbers in this Pravasi Bharatiya conference. And one more thing, I told the other day also, we are shifted to a new premises, the San Francisco downtown, 71 Stevenson Street. So this is more spacious. Next time we hope to organize this kind of event in the new premises. And we also invite not only FIIDS but also other community organizations. You are most welcome to come and organize events at the new consulate premises. So with these words, I would like to thank Kandaroji and FIIDS for inviting me to participate in this event. I wish a very good evening. Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking at our event today, and I would like to invite Sachindra Nath to the stage to thank the esteemed guest.
Thank you so much for your very inspiring words. We'll now move on. I would like to invite Mr. Jeff Rosen to share a few words with us today. I'll start off with a short introduction. Jeff Rosen serves as the Santa Clara District Attorney and is a nationally recognized leader in criminal justice reform. He received his undergraduate degree from the University of California in Los Angeles and law degree from UC Berkeley Law School. He first joined the Santa Clara DA's office as a prosecutor, and he successfully prosecuted some of the most complex and high-profile criminal cases. As DA, he has created reforms for more ethical practices in criminal prosecutions, access to care for domestic violence survivors, and drug narcotics policy that is aimed at treatment and not jail.
Thank you very much. That was a very warm introduction. It would have made my father proud, and my mother would have believed it. So thank you so much. It's really wonderful for me to look out and see a number of familiar faces and friends that I've worked with over the years as your district attorney in Santa Clara County, and I'm really honored that you asked me to share a few words, because I'm such a big fan and supporter of yours as well. There is a strange dichotomy when talking about minorities in the United States, such as yours and mine. I'm a Jew. Yes, of course, there's discrimination. There are tensions and political issues. We worry about things happening back in the old country, our families and friends that we have there, the everyday concerns, and the broader international conflicts. But while there is a price that we pay as immigrants and the children of immigrants in this country, overwhelmingly there is pride as well. We are here in this wonderful place of freedom and opportunity. I'm filled with awe and admiration at the accomplishments of Indian Americans. Nobel Prizes, groundbreaking achievements in technology, business leaders here in Silicon Valley and elsewhere, literature, law enforcement leaders, movie and math stars. We could talk about the professional accomplishments of our own Dr. Srikar Reddy, who could have given his speech in 5 different languages. I'm just going to do it in English. For journalist Fareed Zakaria, author Salman Rushdie, local Congressman Ro Khanna, and of course our Vice President Kamala Harris, once a fellow Bay Area prosecutor. But do you know Sandeep Patel, the popular supervisor of my North County prosecutorial team, or Harjot Dhillon, who got his law degree from my alma mater, UCLA, and is now a thriving member of our Palo Alto prosecution team, or Vishal Bathija, one of our best economic crime prosecutors, who used to oversee all of our prosecutions in the southern part of our county, or Shanti Rajagopalan, a top sexual assault prosecutor. All wonderful, educated, dedicated lawyers, vigorous advocates for the people of our county, and proud Indian Americans who are every day making it their professional business that all of us here at this meeting live and work in a safe, fair, and peacefully diverse community. They, like you, like many of you, have become national success stories and are part of why I love this community and this county so much. This county can seem like different worlds as you drive through Sunnyvale with its beautiful temples, down to Little Saigon and San Jose with its cafes, to Gilroy with its horses grazing in foothills. It's why my family and I live here. It's why you live here. It's why others are coming, and it's why we will welcome them to come and work and make their families here, just as all of us did. To protect our beautiful home and our beautiful community, we must be vigilant against those who would abuse our welcome, those who would deface our temples and our people and our peace. Thankfully, they are not many. We outnumber them by millions, and our neighbors and the law of California is on our side. I'm sent about 20 to 30 potential hate crime prosecutions a year, and I file between 15 and 20 each year. That may not seem a lot as we watch what's happening throughout much of the world. It is, in fact, a tragic trickle. So much goes unreported, from fear, from distrust, from resignation that no one cares or that nothing can be done. While it is hard legally to prove hate crime cases, I need to stress to all of you here that when something legally can be done, when hateful bias crosses the criminal line, we vigorously prosecute those cases. My office handles about 40,000 criminal cases a year, and even the most minor allegation involving a hate crime is something that I personally review because I understand how important it is to prosecute hate crimes, how damaging it is to communities when hate crimes happen. Because, let's face it, a hate crime is really a crime against three. It's a crime against that individual victim that was assaulted or whose property was damaged or vandalized. It's a crime against that victim's entire ethnic community, because hate and fear travel quickly. When one Hindu temple is defaced in Sunnyvale, thousands of Hindus across the Bay Area hear about it. And finally, and perhaps most importantly, a hate crime is a crime against everyone in America, because hate crimes are not only morally reprehensible, hate crimes are profoundly un-American and anti-American. And when criminal hatred does happen here, our community reacts with concern and care, and we react with great purpose, because hate will never be allowed to root and grow here invasively. This is what I mean. Hateful people try to say that the people who are not from here are invaders, but it's the hateful who are foreign to the spirit of this place that we call home. When a person commits a violent crime, our police officers will react quickly and decisively. It is both our jobs to do this and our community's ethos to do this. The law is set up to deal with criminal hatred, and it will, and I will deal with it vigorously and forcefully. You are aware of some of these crimes. A man in Sunnyvale sped his car into a Hindu father walking across the street with his two small children. The saris being stripped off of women during robberies in Milpitas, San Jose, and Santa Clara. attacks on members of the Sikh community because of the turbans that they wear, the thieves who shatter the sanctity of our temples and churches and steal donations. All of us worry about our families making their ways in a world that can sometimes seem chaotic and cruel. What can we do to protect them? If there is a number we can call or a safety strategy we can employ. Beyond 911, the best way to create a safe community is to look out for each other. That's my job, of course, as DA, and I will do that as long and as hard as I can. But all of us here should keep in our hearts that our people go outside our homes, our streets, our neighborhoods. Our community is the star CEO and the star clerk at Subway. It's the students at Stanford University and the students at Overvale High School. It's the busy tech titans on Page Mill Road and busy people shopping for dinner at the markets off of El Camino Real. It is those of you who have made it here and those who will come here soon, seeking the same success that you and your families have worked so hard for and found. We, all of us, the high-profile successes and the everyday folks, know that the promise of America was never that our lives would be without challenges or problems. But today, together, we can promise each other that we will stand up for each other and with each other. Together, we are the best protection against hatred, and together, we will help the United States form a more perfect union. Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking with us today. I would like to invite Yogi Chugh up to the stage, who is a policy advisor of FIIDS, to thank our esteemed guest.
I would like to now invite Mr. Patrick Ahrens to share a few words with us today. Patrick Ahrens is an American politician who is a member-elect of the California State Assembly for the 26th district since 2024. He advocated to expand access and affordability for community college students. An active community volunteer, Ahrens served on the board of directors of the Foothill De Anza Foundation prior to his election. Ahrens graduated with an associate degree from De Anza College, a bachelor's degree in political science from the University of California, Los Angeles, and a Master of Public Administration from San Jose State University.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. I never want to follow our district attorney ever again, so I'll come speak, but never after him, okay? I'm just here. I have not even been sworn in yet, so I'm still new. But for those of you who don't know me, I'm Patrick Ahrens. I just won the election to the California State Assembly for District 26. Thank you. Representing the most beautiful communities of Cupertino, Sunnyvale, Santa Clara, and San Jose. I know it's the district attorney's favorite areas, because he mentioned many of them in his speech. But there's so much partnership and allyship that is going to be the focal point of the work that we're doing in the State Assembly. And if we could just give, a big round of applause to the district attorney once again for all of his allyship with us. As a staffer for nearly 11 years in the legislature, no one's worked more closely to stamp out the rise in hate crimes across California than our district attorney, Mr. Rosen. So thank you so much, Mr. Rosen, for you and the staff resources that you've committed to stamp out any and all hate crimes that we can find. That's going to be so much of the focal point that I want to deliver in the state legislature. We need more of our taxpayer dollars going towards stronger public safety measures and just smart justice in terms of what we are working on and what we're focusing on. The overwhelming response that we need to be working on is breaking down our silos and working at every level of government to stamp out hate crimes, to make sure that our communities are safer, and all of that, as Mr. Rosen mentioned, requires all of us to be speaking out and working with each other. And that's why I'm so honored to be among you all and saying a few words, because of all of the diaspora study commitments, of community engagement, of opportunities for internships. By the way, we have internships available in our office that we will make available. But this is the important aspect, because it's more than the collaboration and the community engagement. We have to work more diligently and many times with less resources in the future on achieving our public safety goals and achieving the goals that we have for our children and our schools. And so that is my commitment to you all in the state legislature, is making sure that we are not only bringing back the partnerships and the allyships in our cities, but tearing down the barriers that exist. And the person who is a victim of hate crime or a victim of any crime doesn't care what jurisdiction they get help from. They just need help. The student who is aspiring to get involved in government or business or nonprofit doesn't care what jurisdiction they get access to these issues. And that is the commitment that I want to bring the state legislature to, is making sure that we're fully funding these programs so we can have more opportunities for our communities to collaborate and ultimately prosper here in Silicon Valley. Thank you all so much for having me.
Thank you so much for speaking at our event today, and I would like to invite Neeraj Bhatia, an advisor for FIIDS, on the stage to thank the esteemed guest.
Thank you so much for speaking with us today. I would now like to invite David Halbert, who is a member of the Alameda County Board of Supervisors, up to the stage today.
Namaste, namaste, namaskar, sat sri akal, kemcho. It's truly my honor to be here this evening with such esteemed speakers that have already spoken. I just want to take a moment, and I will say that I know it's good for me to be brief and be gone, so I'll make it very quick. But Dr. Reddy, what a great job you're doing as Consul General. Please, a round of applause. He mentioned so many important sectors of the economy: technology, defense, food. Come on, let's talk about the food that we bring in from India. It's great. But also cricket. I want to talk about cricket. Who knows that I'm the independent director for USA Cricket, and our team beat Pakistan this year. Yeah, give it up for the T20 team. We call them the H1B, India H1B team. They lost to India, but they beat Pakistan. You know this, right, Yogi? Okay. Well, cricket is going to be growing in America because of all of you and our friends, okay? So give it up for cricket. And then I have to echo comments by our district attorney. We're here to keep you safe. Public safety is always number one, always number one. When we feel very safe, we can do many great things. Sometimes we take it for granted, and then we're not as safe. We're going to swing back to safety. Public safety is always number one. I know that many of you have traveled halfway around the world with your families, with your children, with your parents, and it is not an easy thing to do. And when you do that and you come to America, you've got to feel safe. We have some OGs in the house, some originals that come over. Jivan and Dr. Ramesh Japra come over 40 years ago. Yeah, you've blazed the way, and now so many people are able to come and then become mayor, like our mayor of Fremont, Raj Sawan. Give it up for Raj. You're able to do that because you feel safe, and we're committed to have you be safe. I also want to say something that I have a reoccurring theme I say every time I come here. The respect that I have for the Indian American community is tremendous. And yeah, we'll clap for that, sure. What do I mean when I say be Indian American? It means to me to be Indian in America. That means to come here with your culture, come here with your history, come here with everything that you can bring to America, because we have it all. We accept you, we welcome you, we want you to be Indian in America. Don't ever change. That's why we love your culture. I see AIA in the house. I see HAF in the house. I see so many other groups in the house. Rajiv, Vijaya. Where's Viru? Huh? Oh, he's over here. Where's Viru? Where's Viru? He's not here. If you come to Alameda County, you're going to see the most wonderful Diwali festival, including fireworks that last for 20 minutes. Come on. It's amazing. Huh? Ravan Dahan, yes, I love that one. Very good. Be Indian in America. Bring everything that you can, because we love it all. So, again, it's my honor to be here with you today. Yogi, thank you for making sure I got here. He called me 10 times to make sure I would get here. You're the best. So God bless you all. God bless America. And let's have a wonderful evening today. Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking today, and I would now like to call Manoj Javre to thank the esteemed guest.
My good friend TJ, always with the camera.
I would now like to invite the founder and president of FIIDS, Khanderao Khand, to the stage to share a few words with us. Khanderao Khand is the Director of Policy Analysis and Strategy and President of Foundation for India and Indian Diaspora Studies, a Washington, D.C.-based think tank working on India and Indian-related studies on socioeconomic, political, and international security matters. He has been a convener of various conferences on topics like Indo-China relations and peace and prosperity in Afghanistan. He has been a convener of the Indian diaspora, hosting Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi's historic visit to Silicon Valley in September 2015. Thank you.
Before I speak, I think we'll run a FIIDS video.
As a USA-based non-profit organization, Foundation for India As a USA-based non-profit organization, Foundation for India and Indian Diaspora Studies, FIIDS' mission is to engage the Indian diaspora in the United States to further strengthen collaboration in geopolitical security, economic policies, education, science and technology, and people-to-people engagement. We focus on building strong US-India relations on related policy matters. FIIDS As a USA-based non-profit organization, Foundation for India and Indian Diaspora Studies, FIIDS' mission is to engage the Indian diaspora in the United States to further strengthen collaboration in geopolitical security, economic policies, education, science and technology, and people-to-people engagement. We focus on building strong US-India relations on related policy matters. FIIDS is an institute for research, analysis, awareness and advocacy on events, issues and matters related to India and Indian diaspora. FIIDS monitors, builds and events to analyze the impact on Indo-Americans and to come up with strategic responses to address narratives. FIIDS also keep a watch on international human rights violations, hate crimes and acts of terrorism.
Slide deck. So first of all, thanks everybody. It's an awesome presence, all of you. In a very short time, we were kind of wondering that this year has been an election year, and we are postponing all these fundraisers, etc., because most of the focus of Indian diaspora this year was actually actively participating. And we should congratulate ourselves because we really participated, because FIIDS advocates that we should participate. It doesn't matter whom we vote, because our voice will be heard only when we actively participate in the electoral process. So it's good that our participation is increasing. Our Indian American also actively contesting, and we have Dr. Raj Salwan, now Fremont's first Indian American mayor. It is a third largest city in the Bay Area, and this is awesome. Of course, Murli is there, vice mayor of Sunnyvale. And we have a lot of candidates contested. Means we had Chandrasekhar Wagh, Renu, and we had Satish Wale, and many candidates. So this is a good, we have to participate actively. So Foundation for Indian Diaspora Studies, as I said, that we work on policy matters related to Indian diaspora. It could be US-India relations, it could be hate crimes or anything in the local immigration, which is also important aspect of it. So there are various aspects we cover. So we have the flywheel, what we call as a FIIDS flywheel. It means the 4 dimensions that we act on. The one is the research, monitoring whether it is various policies getting introduced in Capitol Hill or various states, which matters directly or indirectly to our diaspora, creating awareness about that, creating our positioning. The second aspect is that advocacy. That once we take the strategy and the policies, we need to approach the elected officials and educate about our concerns, our interest, and making sure that they understand that why it is important, not just for us, but from the larger American interest, that why our stand is also very important. So that's the advocacy matter. We work directly, indirectly, we connect with the elected officials. We also work with all these partner organizations and individuals who are connected with all these different elected officials. Then we also focus on collaborations, connecting with whether it's a think tanks to even different organizations. From in Washington, D.C., we work with American Jewish Committee. We do the joint delegations also. We take the various, even the Armenian community, we had it, Afghan and Indian communities. So we have this inter-community related activities. And fourth is the capacity building. Just like electoral politics, our Indian American typically participate, the profession, if you look at it, they're either doctors or the engineers. Most of them, the Bay Area is 80%, you can say that engineers. And then few go into the legal profession, but there is social studies and administration on the policies, very less active participation is there. So creating participation in that, creating capacity in the community itself. So that is the 4 quadrants. So these are the 4 things that we work on. So this year, we actually, one of the main thing has been immigration. So immigration, as you know, that there are many aspects of the immigrations are there. One of the major aspects that we are hitting, as Consul General Dr. Srikar Reddy ji said, that Indian American, or the Indians in this country are now largest students, almost like a 300, 350,000 they come, and 14 to 15 billion revenue that brings to the United States. And then they graduate. But afterwards, there is a long wait in the getting first thing H1. H1, there are the whole lottery system, etc. If they get H1, then later on there is a green card. And green card, if you know that there is a 7% country-wise quota in the in US. Because of that, all these Indian H1B holders, they are in the long wait of the green card. And that wait is tens of years. And some may say even they may not be able to get even the green card in their lifetime. And their children are growing, and at some point of time, the children become 21 years of old, and they are now legally not dependent on that. It means that they are aging out, and their status becomes illegal. So that is, and then many of my friends and others, they have to convert their children's status to F1. And if they, and imagine some of them are not studying, then what can they do? The only option is that, legal option is that get out of the country. And compared to that, if they convert themselves illegal, cross the border, come here again, they may get green card much more earlier. So this is the kind of a system that we are into. It's a broken system. So these are the typical policies that we have been. There are 4 bills are there in US Congress. So we worked into that. Now again the election happened, so we'll have to work it again. So we have to, this is why the advocacy is very important. We have to reach out to elected officials. So this year we did the immigration summit, and I will be talking about that later. This is, so we work with different agencies. Earlier I mentioned in the immigration, not only advocacy we do, but we also work with USCIS. That is the immigration department or the citizenship department over here. And they do look at our concerns or the recommendations seriously. They do correspondence back. I showed some of the letters into that. But they can only do some of the things. They cannot really do, they can do the procedural changes, but not the actual legislative. So that's where the legislative pressure is also needed. One of the things that we worked is actually one of the agencies that we have good I can say that either relationship or the working is the US State Department. US State Department, particularly the agency, the center, which is related to India, that is the Central and South Asian Bureau over there. So we have continuous in the partnership related discussions are there, even the Director of India. So at that level, we do exchange what are our concerns or the suggestions are over there. So one of the things is that India needs to be, India is declared as a major defense partner, but the framework to operate that major defense partner is not there. There is another framework called major non-NATO ally. So that there are almost 18 countries over there, and there is a legislative framework which is backing the funding to export control, etc. are there. However, MDP doesn't have it. So that is now one of the elected official, I think Andy Barr has introduced a bill, but now we'll have to again work on that. So why I'm saying is that there are many things are happening, or rather need to happen at policy matters, but we need to focus on that. Otherwise, those changes won't happen. And the impact as Indian American being here 5 million, we can definitely able to make impact because we are crucial into some swing state. And our voices matters. We may not be majority or anything, but when the voting of some few percentage matters, whether it's in Pennsylvania, Michigan, or even the Florida, Arizona, and when our population is a significant into that, in the probably 100,000, we can definitely make an impact and our voice can be heard. So another agency which we want to make an impact is the USERF, because year after year, USERF create very bad, biased, polemic, and very preconceived report. And they are not fact-based, they are not factual. They are actually taken the isolated incidents and blown out of the proportion. So population of 1.4 billion, they project like in India, which is a country of the diversity, but the projection of India is like India is a country where the democratic principles are not entertained, or rather they are violated, and minorities do not have rights, or there is genocide happening in that. So those kind of narratives built by the vested agencies or the entities, and those gets into their report, which actually creates a problem. One of our think tank expert mentioned that US-India relations is in this century is one of the most consequential partnership, which is understood. That's why so much initiatives are happening. What Dr. Srikar Reddy said, there are so many initiatives are happening. But at the same time, because of this noise, the things that could have done so easily, they are very difficult. And that is where we need to educate. The USERF we need to educate. Through USERF, then that report goes to IRF, what are the international religious freedom entity within the State Department itself. And then they create lot of this noise and friction in getting some of the things that could have been happened very easily. So that is where we work with that. We also try to create the education about various aspects. When the negative campaigns are happening against in India, we need to create some factual report. And FIIDS actually is not a very emotional base. We don't put our emotions or the background. We try to collect the facts and present that and give the complete picture, because there is always an attempt by the biased entities that do the omission commission, select few things, hide lot of things, and project out of context, so that the things which have been in a very seen as a differently, instead of presenting it as a rational way. When things are bad, you can say bad. There are a lot of things in India are bad, and there are a lot of things in US also are bad. We all know that. Democracy is always a work in progress. And that we are working on. In USA, there are so many things that's why we have been working on. So could be some things in India. But looking into the perspective, the historical perspective, looking into the population, looking at the statistical perspective, they're all hidden and then projected in a negative. And that's why the narrative needs to be fixed, that we try to work on it. The few things I will quickly cover. The first thing that we did this year in the month of March, did Immigration Summit on Capitol Hill. And many elected officials, including from Bay Area, Congressman Ro Khanna, Congressman Eric Swalwell, then we had Jimmy Panetta, we had from other part like Thanedar or Rich McCormick, Matt Cartwright, many elected officials, also think tanks experts from many think tanks which are specialized in the immigration itself. So they participated in the Immigration Summit and had the report which we gave to USCIS as well as the leaders in the Congress. Then we had the Advocacy Summit, and this is one thing that we should be proud about. This year we did the largest Advocacy Summit in Indian American perspective or even Hindu perspective. None of the organizations so far had reached to a first century. We reached this year 100 elected officials in Capitol Hill on one day, 22 different states, 135 delegates participated in that, and we met 100 elected officials from 35 states, and we presented 5. This one. It's a huge effort, because we have to get the delegates from all over the place. They have to get the appointments over there. Each appointment is a half-an-hour appointment. You present what are the bills are there, and what our viewpoints are over there, and have the meaningful discussion. So that is the whole exercise, almost like a 3-4 months of preparation, and that played into that. So 5 issues that we raised: US-India relations, Indo-Pacific, trade and security. Particularly, you know that from the Indo-Pacific region, world's largest trade goes, and Chinese dominance, particularly in the supply chain, which has a huge impact. And also there are security aspect over there, so we created the awareness about that. then immigration issue, then fourth issue is that the religious phobia, which dear to our most of us, whether it's a Hindu American or Jewish American. So there is in general minorities, the religious phobia that face, hate crime that it comes. So we created awareness about that. And finally, which you may feel odd, but critical minerals. We also raised the awareness about the critical minerals, because critical minerals is going to be the key of whether it's a success or failure, and particularly the world security point of view. And China actually controls the largest assets related to the critical minerals. And then if United States doesn't have strong policies and control over there, we'll be having difficulties in the future. So we raised about that. So that was about the Advocacy Summit. Then we also did the US-India Partnership Summit, where we had dignitaries, not just the elected officials, we also had the State Department's Deputy Assistant Secretary of State, Nancy Jackson. We also had ambassadors from India. We also had Ambassador Atul Keshav, then Mukesh Aghi, and many leaders. They participated in that US-India Partnership Summit. And White House also, yeah. And we held the National Science Federation. Dr. Pancha, he also participated. Last year also Dr. Gupta, he also participated. So that's again, over there the issues related to ISET, what Dr. Srikar Reddy mentioned, we also discussed of the MDP. The next important thing that we did this year is the, after Partnership Summit, the last one, yeah. Next one. We can skip that. Yeah, so the last thing I was, last couple of points. So the first thing, that internship program I mentioned. So we had 2 internship programs this year. So this year, so we actually created a structured program for certificate in public policies and leadership targeted to the high schoolers, so that high schoolers can get interested in the policies, they understand that, they cultivate that habit or basic skills of leadership. Small thing, even some of the, as a workshop, it was a structured program where they can study the theory and then also do the practice, that go to local city hall and just give 2 minutes talk. How many of us does? We know most of us don't do, but we encourage our kids, high schoolers, to go and participate. They also took the topics and then presented and all that thing. So the next we did is the first time, and that is also another history, that first time any organization placing, we got 5, but 4 interns in US Congress. So we have the 4 interns over there, and also there are some interns get paid, some interns we pay, and I thank some of the sponsors like Ramesh Punnapulli. For last 3 years he is sponsoring 1 intern. So which is to take care of that in 2 months. One is that payment and also some basic expenses and all that thing. I would like to first invite Tanishka and Sammy. So both of them are interns, right? Tanishka did the high school internship and Sammy was in the US Congress. So they can just share their experiences.
So good evening, everyone. So I had the incredible opportunity to intern on Capitol Hill this summer under Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy in Washington, D.C. So as a congressional intern, I was introduced to the many facets of policymaking and legislation through writing memos and attending congressional hearings. I was able to attend meetings alongside the congressman and give tours to the congressman's constituents around Capitol Hill. This opportunity allowed for an up-close view at how politics occur at the federal level. Not only was I able to learn so much about our legal systems, but I was also able to meet and chat with a variety of accomplished staff members around the Hill. Alongside myself, there were also 3 other congressional interns this summer, Janani, Rashil, and Srija, all who interned with different congressmen in DC. Advocacy and social justice have been my prime passions, aligning directly with the interests and work that FIIDS have done. I am so grateful for this internship as it built a strong foundation for me in federal level politics. I look forward to continue strengthening my passions for policy work alongside FIIDS. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tanishka, and I interned for FIIDS a few years ago. I interned 2 years in a row when I was in 8th grade and 9th grade, and although I didn't go to Capitol Hill, mine was mostly online, I gained a lot of skills that I can still use in the real world, such as meetings, other type of public speaking and things like that. And although my meeting was online, I got to do a lot of things like research political think tanks and to make speeches about different congressional members in different congressional meetings. And it was definitely a great learning experience for me, and I would hope to do it again.
So, by the way, Sammy is in UC Berkeley. She is doing political science. So we hope that she's a long career into that. Thank you. We are also proud that one of our past intern is now staffer in US Congress. Marut, I don't know, Marut's mother is here or, yeah, Marut is here. Okay, could you get up? Yeah. He did, I didn't know because I thought that he's coming next week, but good to see you. So he's a staffer in US Congress. He was in our first batch of high schooler, and then he was also our FIIDS intern in Washington, DC, and now he's a staffer. Oh, how many were there? 35. Yeah. So a few things that we encouraged two particular democracy. You can say that in Advocacy Day, we had 35 under the age of 20. That's one thing. And then second, we also had women. I think that participation was almost 25 something, 25, 30. Yeah. So that is another thing that we would encouraging, that lot of women need to be participating. And actually one observation I have is that this year we selected and we got 5 interns. All of them were girls. So lot of active participation is there. And the last one, this year we did 2 campaigns for the US election. One is that the voters registration and then voting campaign. So that's 2 campaigns we did. Initial phases, we are a kind of a think tank and strategy organization. So we scale through the organizational, partner organization, whether it's a A4H or a Hindu Pact or Hindu Actions and others. But we took the early lead into creating awareness that we need to work on those topics, and then did the campaign to enroll the partner organization, come on board onto that. We also launched a website called IndoAmericanElectionGuide.org, which we focus only because of the limited resources. We only focus on the US Congress. So we created that you enter your address or your district or your elected official's name, and it will give all the bills they voted on, bills related to Indian American or our interests, so that you can do the analysis and all that thing. We, in future, we try to provide more and more such information at various levels into that, which very important that we vote, we have some basic understanding, and then make a call. So that's a overall work of this year. And with this, I will pause. We have, of course, this is the fundraiser day, so we'll be just giving the kind of outline and see that we are not really asking that much funds because it's so much not even visible. So yeah, we do it generously. So we want to keep it secret. So, you know that I am sure that there will be hardly person in Bay Area, right, having salary, which is, if you look at the total budget, we are looking 175K. And I think the minimal salary in Bay Area of software engineer could be 200K. So in a way that we are asking from the whole Indian community is much more smaller amount. But it's very crucial. I want to give perspective. Some of the organizations which actually actively working against the interest of Indian diaspora, Indian American in general, and most of the population happens to be Hindus, right? 80% diaspora and Hindus. And organization that has a funding, how much funding could have been? 10 million, 100 million. 100 million funding. California itself has, I think, 20, 30 million. I'm talking about Council of unnamed organization. Okay? So, but there is a polemic campaign against this one. That's why no wonder we see that the whole the kind of riots and everything in the universities and everything, because it's happening because of a campaign. There is a funding behind that, and for that we are fighting with very small amounts, which is very pathetic. Because this is not a really an Indian American. If you want to make a really impact of anything, it has to go to probably 1,000 times of what amount that I'm putting over there. Not just FIIDS, actually, a lot of organizations are working, at least 5-10 organizations in this spectrum in this decade that we are seeing. But collectively, at least we should have some 10-20 million invested into the policies and advocacies, then we'll start making an impact. So with that, I will pause and then we'll continue the program. But just make sure that we have some understanding that how we want to scale. This could be beginning, but in future, I think more and more allocation, both in terms of financial and also other resources, we need to invest into cultivating the policies and also the advocacy. Sree Iyer wants to go first. Sree Iyer wants to go first.
I thought Raj Sovan was to go first.
Huh?
Raj Sovan.
Who's that?
Raj Sovan.
Okay. Okay. But Sree Iyer then?
Yeah, we can go after.
After Raj Sovan.
Yeah. I would now like to invite Mr. Raj Sovan to share a few words with us today. As you all know, he's our next mayor, and he has served in every capacity in local commissions, non-profit boards, and regional bodies. He is a proud contributor to the success of Fremont schools in his previous role as a subcommittee member of the Joint City Council School District Liaison Committee.
Thank you. Good evening. Namaste, Srikar. How's everybody doing today? Well, first and foremost, I would like to thank all of you for your support, for electing me mayor of the city of Fremont. It's only because of you that we are here today. And there's so many familiar faces in this room that I want to thank, and it'd take forever for me to name everybody. But I want to thank all of you because it is the hard work from the community that we have been elected as mayor with wide margins. And so, there was a saying, some people felt that you couldn't have an Indian American elected in Fremont. Yes, and so we've finally done it. And we have proven the critics wrong. An Indian American can win in Fremont and can win anywhere because we have folks in the highest levels, whether they're running for president or in Congress or Senate, and we need to encourage that. And so I do want to thank FIIDS for the good work they're doing, especially in relation to advocacy. This is very, very important because we have to advocate so that people know what the issues are. And this is one of the few organizations that is doing that very well. So I would encourage Khande Raoji, Yogi, all the entire team to continue these efforts because a lot of times policymakers don't know how the policies are affecting their constituents. In fact, I was sitting next to Supervisor Hobart, and he was surprised by some of the quotas they have on H-1Bs and the people that are suffering for decades. And so, so with that, I want to thank everybody again for your support. City of Fremont is the happiest city. It's a great city for families, and it's because of the diversity of our community. And as mayor, I'm going to make sure that we keep our community united. We make sure everybody stays happy, and we make sure that we unite the community around a common vision. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to bring everybody together. We're going to make sure everybody has a seat at the table, and we're going to make sure Fremont is a thriving beacon of an Indian community for all Indian Americans, and make sure everybody's welcome there. So thank you. So with that, I would like to ask my colleague Teresa Cox to come here, and we're going to give a certificate to Khande Raoji and Yogi and the entire FIIDS team. And also let's give it up for Tanishka. She was my intern, by the way. Yes. She did a great job. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I would now like to invite Mr. Sree Iyer to share some invaluable insights on the topic Forgotten Role of Indians in the Second World War. Before inviting him up here, I'd like to give a short introduction. Mr. Sree Iyer is the CEO of PGurus, which provides fair, unbiased, and accurate analysis about India. He connects and discusses various topics with eminent intellectuals. He is an inventor and an out-of-the-box thinker. He has 40+ US and foreign patents in the areas of hardware, software, encryption, and systems. He is also an Amazon best-selling author and has written 4 books. Thank you. And now, here's Sree Iyer.
It is now my honor to invite Professor Vamsee Juluri to enlighten us on the topic Indian Diaspora as a Force for Truth, how we can spot and defeat the dangers of propaganda, sharing invaluable insights into this critical issue. Vamsee Juluri is currently a professor at the University of San Francisco. He received his PhD in communication from the University of Massachusetts in 1999. His research interest is in the globalization of media audiences with an emphasis on Indian television and cinema, mythology, religion, violence, and Gandhian philosophy. He's the author of 5 books.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Okay. Thank you. So, you know, everything I say is going to be on the test tomorrow. So, pay close attention. I tweaked the title of my talk a little bit, inspired by the wonderful, distinguished speakers who came here before us, and the young people who are doing internships and working to make the world a better place. I would like to just drop the word propaganda from my talk for a minute, and instead put this proposition before you. I'll stand in front of the FIIDS placard. I want you to think of my talk as trying to convey one simple idea, and that is, truth unites, lies divide. Okay? Truth unites, lies divide. Okay? So let's hold on to that thought, and I want to share two living, or should I say, eternally living examples of the spirit of this statement. The first is my mother, Srimati Jamuna, who many of you know. She was in the movies, she acted in 200 movies, and in Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, Hindi, she was in Parliament. In my growing up days, like how you are in Washington, I was in Delhi with my mother, so I saw the importance of politics, the importance of participation, campaigning, culture, media, democracy. And she was a force for truth. And when she passed away in early 2023, there was no part of the political spectrum that failed to pay tributes to her. I have seen her on the stage with red scarf-wearing communists and saffron-clad Hindu sadhus and Hindutva leaders. She won the admiration of people on every side of the spectrum. Why? Because I think she embodied the idea that truth unites. Okay? And here we are living in a time when lies divide, and lies have divided the United States in the last 10 or 20 years more than ever before. How is it that a community that embodies so much of unity and diversity and tolerance and just doing your thing and following the law and working hard and being a minority, how is it that it gets lied about so much, demonized so much, and disenfranchised so much? And why is it that we are having to work so hard? So on that note, I want to invoke one more name in the same spirit of truth unites, fighting lies divide. And that is a friend, the name of a friend of many of you here, and that is Sri Milind Makwana ji. So I began to write about the issue of Hindu representation in the media and in academia about 15, 20 years ago when I learned about the textbook issue. I was not yet a parent, but then I saw what the other parents were saying. I went and investigated. I tried to understand what academia was saying, why academia was thinking the way it did. And I wrote some of these issues in my book, Rearming Hinduism. But anyway, this battle should not have gone on like this for so long. And the fact that a parent, a community leader, and a wonderful friend to so many had to put so much of his life and energy into expressing the simple idea that we don't all have to have the same opinions or gods or political leaders. We just have to have the same respect for truth and be united around that. Unfortunately, he had to fight so hard to just convey that one point and fight off the forces which are using lies to divide us. And speaking of lies to divide us, I brought a bunch of books, but I'll tell you the name of one because I think I was supposed to speak about how to fight propaganda today. So I have with me a book called How to Zoom Your Room. It's a guide for staging your room nicely so you can do a good Zoom talk or appear on TV. Now guess what I found in that book? The book is full of examples of how the top politicians and TV journalists and important leaders, celebrities, Zoom their rooms. And that book tells us that a very cool book to have on your bookshelf when you Zoom your room for national television is Isaac Wilkerson's Caste, a book of lies. So I'm telling you this because when you think of propaganda, you think it's just something casual. It's not. It is so organized, it's so central, and even the smallest thing that you're confronting, like the other organizations which get hundreds of millions of dollars, they have centralization, they have organization, they have ideological clarity of their mission. What do we have? We have some platitudes, I'm sorry to say, that we are very successful, that our students get good jobs and so on and so forth. All that is fine. But we do not live in a normal world today. We live in a world where terrorism is directed at us and our children and the future of our gods and temples. We are right next to the Satyanarayana Swami temple and the Krishna temple. We have to recognize that we are living through a war, which may not be physical yet. It has reached the gates of our temples. It has reached the minds of our children. It has reached their ability to simply have trust that truth will prevail. And we can't simply go on assuming that because we have good jobs and follow the law and our children will go to good colleges, all will be well. It won't. There are forces which are using lies to make people bend more and more into saying 2 plus 2 is not 4 but 5. If any of you have read George Orwell's 1984, you know what I'm talking about. So I'm writing a book on the history of propaganda. I was supposed to have finished it in my sabbatical year last year. But guess what? There's so much to read and learn and convey to you. But I'll wrap up with one concrete example that you know. So if you want to look at the history of propaganda, it goes way back. You could talk about the Crusades, you could talk about the year 1622, when the Vatican established the College of Propaganda to train people on how to propagate their faith. You could talk about World War I, when the Germans invented atrocity propaganda. You could talk about the Nazis, whose anti-Semitic tropes about rabbis are recycled and now put in the textbooks of your children today and in the lawmakers' bills in Sacramento as demonization smears against a community which has traditionally been peaceful, a community of scholars. Anti-Brahmin tropes are anti-Semitic tropes. The researchers established this. So 1920s, 1930s, then the Cold War, then the Gulf War, all these lies are being packaged and recycled and thrown at people again and again. And right now we've been hit very, very hard in the last 10 or 15 years. I'll give you 2 landmark moments for you to think about, because tomorrow is November 26 November, 26/11. 16 years ago this day, we were all shocked, we were fearful. Some of us had family in Bombay at the time who were trapped. Many people were killed brutally. What was happening though in the minds of America, in the minds of students in colleges in America? They were not thinking about hundreds of innocent people being killed in Bombay. They were thinking that life is great because Obama won and Dev Patel is dancing away to Jai Ho in Slumdog Millionaire. Slumdog Millionaire, based on a book written, I think, by an esteemed colleague of our esteemed ambassador, Mr. Vikas Swaroop. The novel was fine. The novel was a lovely, inspirational Indian everyman story. Ram Muhammad Thomas, like Amar Akbar Anthony. The movie changed his identity to Jamal. The movie changed the identities of every one of his oppressors to Hindus. And the narrative of this movie, if you observe it carefully, was designed to deflect sympathy away from the victims of terrorism, because for the first time, movies like Slumdog Millionaire and Hotel Mumbai later, and the op-eds in New York Times, what did they all contrive and connive to do? They said it's okay for terrorists to kill people as long as they are rich or they are an oppressor community, like Hindus in South Asia. That was their argument. They built it. And it kept going and going and going. And guess what happened in October in Israel last year? And worse, what happened in all the universities after the terrorist attacks on Israel last year? A poll conducted by Harvard-Harris CAPS found that about 50% of youth under the age of 35 said these attacks, the attacks by Hamas, were morally justifiable. Okay? So when 50% of youngsters have reached a point where killing, torturing babies and older people is considered morally okay because they've been deemed to be oppressors, you're living in an alarming situation. So anyway, I'm sorry, I think I dropped all of us from a pleasant Sunday evening into a horrible Monday morning. I apologize. But I will wrap up with 2 or 3 quick suggestions, reinforcing what Khande Rao ji said with his microscopic budget. And by the way, I just realized an average software programmer or engineer makes more than a full professor in the social sciences. Oh my God, what would my mother say now? Well, at least I'm here. I have the honor of speaking to you, so my parents, I suppose, are proud of me, even if I make less than a software engineer. All right, so I would like to make 3 requests to all the distinguished people here. One, you have to sort out this job of narrative. Narrative is not something you just talk about or you tweet about or WhatsApp about. There are institutions like universities which are producing narratives which define Hindus, Jews in some communities as oppressors, therefore it's okay for terrorists to kill them. There are thousands of results you find on Google Scholar for words like racism, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism. You hardly find anything for Hinduphobia. I'm one of the few people who's managed to write a peer-reviewed article on Hinduphobia. So for more scholars to do this, for interns to be able to tell their lawmakers, hey, we need an anti-Hinduphobia bill, you need data. You need systematic research, which takes a lot of expertise and effort and money. So that's one. We need to be a serious community in supporting our scholars, researchers, educators, cultural creators. 2, we need to sort out whose job it is to defend what. And here I would like to request Honorable Consul General Garu to convey to the MEA, who I've trolled many times, by the way, on this issue for the last 8-9 years. See, criticism or attacks on the government of India should be professionally countered by the government of India. Okay? Many of us may love the government, some of us may have differences, whatever. But for the MEA, if I may be so bold as to say, to keep saying, as it did during the textbook issue 10 years ago, that this is an internal matter of your country, we can't get involved, I think it's a little old-fashioned in a globalized world. Okay? I would love to discuss more with you and your colleagues about this if given a chance. Because what's been happening is the job of defending a particular government is getting outsourced to just civilians here, many of whom are now US citizens. And then they get accused of, dual loyalty and things like that. So are people going to fight Hinduphobia? Are they going to fight, attacks? Blatant lies, like the people who put an ad in New York Times last year telling lies about the Modi government's policies. So there needs to be clarity. I'm reminded of the scene in Lagan. How many of you have seen Lagan? All right. So you remember when they're all learning to play cricket, the first time the ball goes, every villager runs towards the ball until the captain tells them, hey, no, look, you have fielding positions. So we need to have that clarity. Some of us will deal with media and academia, some of us with human rights, some of us with government. So we need clarity. What is Hinduphobia? What is anti-India bias, prejudice? What is anti-government things? And who deals with what? And finally, I would like to say, parents and children, please understand, teach, and getting children into culture, Kuchipudi, Bharatanatyam, Balavihar, all of this is wonderful. But the problem is not religious decline. Okay? The gods gave our children to us. And they will never go far from the gods. Okay? I have that faith, in Ganesha here and Satyanarayan Swami here. But we have to give them an education in the social sciences which approaches society from an Indian and a Hindu and a Sanatana Dharma, an ancestrally rooted worldview. Okay? In Balavihar, they give the children a book called Why Do We? Right? Why do we light a lamp? Why do we put bindi? We need a book which says, why do they? Why do they say those things that they do? And we need academic research, okay, not WhatsApp forwards. So parents, governments, community leaders, everybody get behind efforts, whatever efforts are being made by the community, You need to produce research. You need to nurture your scholars and artists. And yes, pay your social science professors more. Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking at our event today, and I would like to invite Janmajay Singh to the stage to thank our esteemed guest.
We are so deeply grateful for all of our esteemed guests for taking the time to join us here today. Your support and engagement is inspiring, and we appreciate all of you for your hard work and dedication to support our community. We would now like to invite Mr. Yogi Chugh and Mr. Khanderao Khanji to the stage for a few brief announcements.
Thank you so much. Our interns are our pride. They represent this generation that I believe personifies things. Let's give a big round of applause for the interns, the ones that are following, and everything else as well. You have all been very patient today with your evening, but I want to just come back and say a few words about an organization that was built on a labor of love. It was the sheer determination and the sheer resilience to come back and say, we're going to have a voice on Capitol Hill. And I'll tell you, the effort has not been easy. It's been hard work, but this idea of what Khandaraoji and the team has been able to accomplish, I believe, is very gratifying. And I was just sharing a conversation with our CG today that if you have basically seen the effort we've done in the 4 years, I stand here tall before each one of you today come back and say, in 10 years, you're going to come back and say that you all made a fundamental difference in how Foundation for India and Indian Diaspora Studies continue to push the envelope in ensuring that the representation of our values, our ideals are held to a higher standard. One thing that drives us every day, and what Professor Vamsee just said as well, everybody is entitled to their opinion, but you are not entitled to making up your own facts. And that is what the Foundation for India and Indian Diaspora Studies. Our budget, you saw on the PowerPoint, so there are so many things that you may have missed in the process. There's one thing I'd also like to focus on and talk about why you need to fund some of the initiatives that we're doing. Khandaraoji silently, singularly came back and made this effort early on. But there's not a single think tank in Washington, D.C., in the Beltway, where opinions are formulated. And the Foundation for India and Indian Diaspora Studies met with every single one of those foundations, think tanks, and policy groups from Heritage, Cato, to Atlantic Council to talk about the formulation of a dialogue and a debate which is going to formulate the U.S.-India partnership. We look at things through an American prism. Because through this United States country that we live and we so dearly care about, it is a consequential partnership of the 21st century, grounded upon this equality of the nation that India has a lot more to offer. So, whether you want to come back and fund our internship program, whether you want to come back and focus on the Advocacy Day, whether you want to focus on the research papers that we write on a variety of issues, we encourage you to come back and open your wallets. If you bought a ticket, thank you so much. If you brought your wife along and bought her ticket too, thank you very much. If you brought your child along today, thank you very much. I only ask and urge each one of you to double that support. I can assure you, if the work that has been done last year alone is an indication of the future, we have the potential to seize the moment. $100 is nothing, $500 is nothing, $1,000 is nothing. But Khandaraoji, is it fair to make a statement today that we will provide them the greatest return of investment on their dollars ever made? Because while you and I might be standing here, there's a movement of people in the Bay Area who are working their souls off but do not want to come back in the front because at the end of the day, it's all about getting the job done. And more so, 13 states across the country. Khandaraoji travels on his own expense. And not that we're saying that you need to write money to come back and pay for our travel. No, we'll do that on our own. God has blessed us with the ability to do that. But help us underwrite some of the basic costs. And next year when you come back here, you're going to come back and say, I am so absolutely proud. So can I have each one of you look deep into your heart to come back and say, there's a Zelle and a PayPal. If you can just come back and scan that and make a contribution, I think you're going to make a difference in how the Indian American diaspora is perceived in this country. Our children are getting indoctrinated. Dr. Vamsee, I'm going to come back and say this more so. Our children have a deep affiliation with our faith and our families because we hold on to that coffee table conversations that we're so proud of. But when they go to schools and they go to high schools, it's a very different conversation. Let's have that conversation on the merits of the conversation. And your contribution will complement the work of so many other organizations. So Kandaraoji, it is our life work to continue to do the best that we can. We're going to take some tumbles, but our saying in our organization is shoot for the heavens and catch hell on the way down, because a ride is a beautiful ride. Be a part of history, guys. Contribute, make it possible, open your wallets, write a check, do whatever it takes.
So whenever I go to movies, I imagine that I can be like a hero, right? If I listen some songs, right? I listen to Mandip, I think that I should sing like him. And when I hear Yogi, I feel that I wish, right? He's a great orator. Good to have you. So few things I don't know how I missed it. But one thing I realized that should have announced that this year we also crossed one thing, that we have office, physical office in Washington, D.C. And it's a huge building in which we have tiny office. Means I wish I would have put that picture, right? It is in a prestigious state, 1250 Connecticut Northwest Avenue, which is a kind of a half a mile or 1 mile from Rajesh knows that. He had office near there. So from White House and Indian Embassy and most of the think tanks. So, and we do lot of think tanks work. Unfortunately, we missed one think tank, and I really regret. America First. We should have done good work in last couple of years, because most of the current appointees are actually coming from America First. You know that, right? Why we focus on think tanks is also important thing, that think tanks are typically revolving door to park the bureaucrats and office bearers and everything. So a lot of it, not just they do the policy work, but also most of the think tanks, they go from one like a heritage to government and back. So think tank is also one area we do. But one thing that I want to say that unfortunately we do not have a think tank in Washington, D.C. When we started with some inspiration of the people who are visionary, and they said that we need to have that, we started FIIDS as a think tank. That's why we have studies as a word. But then we realized that only by producing documents or conferences, we are not able to make impact, because no one is listening to that. So then we started focusing on advocacy. And now we have more into advocacy, but now we need to build on think tanks. And that's why we hired our first staffer, policy analyst with a social studies background in Washington, D.C. So she also was in the software industry, and then moved into the policy studies. Did a graduation master's from the Chicago University in social studies and political sciences, and she is now full-time staffer. And why we do the internship and why we want to focus, I want to say one thing. So 20 years back, there were some Indian American visionaries who started also internship program. And many of the current staffers are there in all this administration, particularly previous one. They are coming from that internship program, if I'm not right. However, unfortunately, none of them talk for us. Unfortunately, they are not represented. They are not here. They don't mix. Most of them, not all of them. They are not talking about the issues that we are passionate about. They had it, even almost to the chief of staff, to the level of that person who could have made an impact in the immigration. Because there are certain things we asked is the EAD for those who are waiting for green card. Just EAD, those who are I-145 approved, then if they can get EAD, don't have to get the green card, then they can do the job changes, they can be unshackled, and that is a procedural or executive order. without even going to the Congress, because Congress is a divided house. That could have possible. It didn't happen. Indian staffers are there. We want to see that our kids like this, they will go in 10 or 20 years in White House and all these places, and they can make the difference. And that is the reason that we have to invest into this program. Because we will have thousands of software engineers, we will have, or rather more, tens of thousands or probably hundreds of thousands and others. But we need to have the people in there who can really talk on behalf of us. And I really thank Sammy taking political sciences in Berkeley. Right, she is doing that, and I hope that she will be there. And we have Marut there, who is already reached to staff, and I hope that he will be rising into the Capitol Hill. So with this, I would just repeat the same thing. Whatever you want to, I think, donate for the cause, it is a 501c3. There is a bar, I think, QR code, Zelle account is there and everything. So PayPal is there. So whatever convenient to you, please do. And while you are writing all this thing, I'm going to do one thing. And please, for 5 minutes, just be patient, because a lot of people in this audience are actually, we are starting the journey, and they traveled this journey for a long time. Like say, we have Jivan Joshi ji sitting here, Dr. Jhapra ji is over there, and there are many people who have been in this journey. So what I would like to do, I wish everybody we could have invited, but 5 minutes I will have to invite all the elected officials, then those Indian American candidates who actually contested. We have Renu here. Can you please stand up? She contested for the so I don't know how many of you know, she actually just completed high school and she contested for school board, and yeah, she is ahead right now in 36 votes. So it's going on. Actually, that reminds me. And that reminds me one thing, Elon Musk today's tweet, that India is a country which counted 640 million votes in one day. And in America, I think how many days over of the election is still not done.
December 3rd is the
certification. So, okay, so coming back to that, elected officials and also leaders, would like to, there 3 stairs are there. I would like to get a group photo with all of you. I will organization leaders, right? I will be able to take some names and may not be able to all the names. I'll start with Jivan ji, Ajaiye, Vijay Asuri. Come here, Dr. Jhapra. Yeah, then Pankaj Ansal, Judadid, NRI for Bengals. They're all supporting our work. Anand Ganuji is, if he is there, from Garje Marathi. We have Rajnish from Smart Village, very good project. We have Anshu Garg from the temple. He also contested earlier in the primary. Please do join. Lalit Mathurji has been doing humongous work for years, at least probably for 50 years. Neeraj Bhatia ji, Rajesh Singh from HAF, he is representing one of the most leading advocacy organization from Hindu Voice, you can perspective. Vijay Simaji, Sanjay Tripathi, and I mentioned that Ramesh Punnapalli has been really strongly helping us, so please come. Chandru Bhamra ji, Anurag Mairal represent largest charity organization of Hindu faith in the world, Seva International. We have Dinesh Nilawar, IAPF, and Vamsee Juluri. Your presence would be important for us. आइए ना संजय त्रिपाठी. अरे आपने सुना नहीं? Yeah, Chandru Bhamra ji. Yeah. Okay. Now the FIIDS team, Sachindra ji, Harish Kanpal, Janmejai ji, Manisha Shah, if you are around. Renu, please join. Those who are contested, they also showed a great courage, so please join. So we'll do in 3 rows, like a first row, second row and third row. Yes, Leela Mathur, आपके बिना पूरा complete नहीं होता है इसमें. Yeah, Uma President Sandeep. Yeah, Uma President Sandeep. Vasant Shetty ji. आइए चंद्रशेखर जी अगर इफ ही इज अराउंड, अनिल सुरपुर, अश्विनी सुरपुर, and Jyoti Elgalawadi from Hindu University of America, as well as Sanskrit Bharati. Marut, is he here, Marut? Marut, please join. Mahesh Patel ji, kaha is there? Manoj Javade, our volunteers, please come. We also registration desk, we had women volunteers, so please Urmi Kanpal, Anamika, Shanti ji, Manisha Khan, और कौन? मनीषा रैन बोले ना, मनीषा शाह आ गए ना, हाँ, और कोई है इसमें? Suresh Devpura ji and Shishu Bedi, they had been helping. They, both of them are industrialists, and Dr. Murthy. Yeah, please, yeah, we'll take a group photo. Ramesh ji, again. Yeah. So we'll take Thank you. So now I think we'll do a vote of thanks. Next.
Before we bring on Harishi to do our vote of thanks, one additional point we'd like to emphasize, that FIIDS has been able to build relationships with the State Department, National Security Agency, the Department of Defense, the Department of Justice, and UCCIS, and Kandarauji is on this notion of providing details to the Immigration Department on policy think tanks. Harishi, please come here and give the vote of Sachendra. What is the next portion of the
So we'll invite Manisha Shah, one of our director of the programs, and she is a force behind this fundraising. So for vote of thanks, and then we'll join the dinner. I think there are 2 lanes.
Hello. Hello. Thank you for coming and participating in this beautiful event and giving your valuable time on Sunday. But the main thank you would also go to the woman behind the man, and that is Manisha Khan. So, thank you all the dignitaries, Dr. Sridhar Reddy, Jeff Rosen, Mr. Patrick Athan, Mr. Ajay Bhatoria, Mr. Khanderao Khan, Sree Iyer, Professor Vamsee, Sachinder Nath, Yogi Chuk, Harish Khan, Jamega Singh, and Deep Prajwanal, and all the other names that I may have left out. Please, thank you for coming and making this event a success. And all the volunteers and all the friends of FIIDS, please, we all welcome all of you to even come and participate for the next year events, and come to the Capitol Hill and participate at the advocacy groups with all of us.
Thank you. I just by in a hurry, I may have missed lot of names, and I could see Dharmesh Singh ji. Very few people know that he is the only one who actually in California contested even governor's race, and he has been very pioneer into many of this one. And I unknowingly may have forgotten, or rather missed to note and call many of you. Please, I am sorry about that. So let's join dinner.
Hello, good night everybody. Welcome everybody. You all are here making the scene beautiful. But behind this scene, whatever we are today, Khandelwal Sahab, he has a great attitude. He does everything, but he is very quiet. Just like me, I'm just kidding. He's great, he did wonderful, we should be proud of him. You should keep these kind of activities once a year. So we all will be young, always. Thank you so much, good night, have a nice time, enjoy dinner.
Thank you everybody, please join for the dinner. Thank you everybody. One more thing, we have a evening with full of entertainment. So don't go anywhere. Take your dinner. Please sit down on your seats and enjoy the rest of the evening with the music and entertainment.
Ready? 1,